Amina didn't hear the glass cup fall until it shattered at her feet. She stared at it blankly for a moment, chest heaving, pulse pounding like a drumline gone wrong. Everything had been going wrong today. Everything. And somehow, even gravity had joined the conspiracy. She bent down to pick up the pieces, but her eyes blurred with frustrated tears. One tiny shard pricked her thumb and she hissed sharply. "Lord, not again." She sucked the blood away and marched to the couch, grabbing her phone with a trembling hand. She wasn't crying. She refused to call this crying, but she was absolutely done. Done with her landlord, done with her job, done with her so-called ex-boyfriend who still acted like he owned her life. She opened her messages and typed furiously. "I'm telling you, if that man shows up one more time, I'll kill him. I swear I'll kill him with my bare hands." She hit send. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard as she added another message. "And this stupid landlord? I can't do another week of this nonsense. If he knocks one more time, I'm done. Send." Her chest loosened as she exhaled aggressively. The messages weren't meant to be taken literally, of course, not like she'd ever kill anyone. She was venting to her friend, pure and simple. Her phone buzzed almost instantly. "Who is the man you want to kill?" Amina frowned. That didn't sound like her best friend Melissa. No laughing emoji, no, "Girl, calm down. Just cold." She checked the number. That wasn't Melissa. Her breath caught. "Oh no, did I just..." She slapped her forehead. "Amina, you need to slow down." Before she could decide whether to explain herself or block the number, another message appeared. "Tell me his name." Amina blinked. "What kind of weird reply is this?" she muttered. Then she typed, "Sorry, wrong number. Ignore everything." She dropped her phone beside her and collapsed back into the couch cushions. Her head was pounding. Rent was overdue. Her boss had snapped at her in front of customers. Her ex Daniel had called 7 times to talk, which she knew really meant to manipulate her again. This day needed to end. And then the phone buzzed again. "Ignore. You think you can say something like that and walk away?" A chill slid across her skin like an icy fingertip. She typed quickly. "Listen, whoever you are, it was a mistake, a joke. I'm not killing anybody. Please don't take anything seriously." Her phone vibrated immediately. "Do you make jokes about murder often?" Amina's irritation rose. "Why is this person acting like police?" she muttered, rubbing her forehead. She typed again. "Why are you asking so many strange questions? I said it was the wrong number." The reply was instant. "So, you're not in danger?" Amina froze. What was this, a concerned citizen hotline? She typed back, "No, I'm just exhausted and annoyed. That's all." A pause this time. A full 30 seconds of silence, then, "Where are you?" Amina dropped the phone as though it had burned her palm. She stared at it in disbelief. Then she pressed her hands against her temples. Nope. This was not her circus, not her monkeys. She blocked the number, and that, she told herself, was the end of that. But as she curled up in bed hours later, sleep refused to come. Her mind replayed the messages. The tone wasn't normal, not playful, not creepy in a flirtatious way. It was authoritative, demanding, like someone used to giving orders, someone dangerous. "Stop it, Amina," she told herself firmly. "It's probably a bored delivery guy or some teenager messing around." Still, her stomach wouldn't settle. Around 3 a.m., she finally drifted off. The banging woke her. Not tapping, not knocking, banging. Amina's eyes shot open. Dawn was barely breaking through the curtains. She checked her phone. 6:12 a.m. The pounding continued. She froze beneath the covers. No, that wasn't possible. It couldn't be that person. Impossible. She was imagining things. Another thunderous bang rattled the door. Her heart flew into her throat. Hands trembling, she slid out of bed and padded silently across the living room. She pressed her ear to the door. Nothing. Silence. Then a calm, deep voice spoke. "Amina." She stopped breathing. How did he know her name? Her feet felt glued to the floor. She swallowed hard, her throat painfully dry. Every instinct screamed not to open the door, but the voice came again, low, patient, chillingly sure of itself. "I know you're awake. Open the door." Her blood ran cold. Open the door. Why would she open the door for someone who sounded like a villain in a Korean drama? She backed away slowly, eyes wide. Her phone buzzed. She snatched it up with shaking fingers. New message. You shouldn't block me. Amina clapped a hand over her mouth to stifle a gasp. She checked the top of the message. It was from the same number. She hadn't blocked him? No. It said blocked. But the messages were still coming. Her breath quickened as a horrible realization dawned. Whoever this was, he wasn't using a normal number. The message continued. Open the door, Amina. I won't ask again. Her vision blurred. She wanted to scream for help, but her voice was lodged somewhere deep in her chest. The pounding resumed, 3 slow, deliberate hits that made the wooden door quiver. She let out a shaky breath and whispered, God, please. She forced herself forward, legs trembling. She peeked through the peephole. Her knees nearly buckled. A tall Korean man in a black suit stood outside, hair slicked back. Hands clasped behind him, calm, patient, and surrounded by 2 other men dressed in black. Amina slapped a hand against the wall to stay upright. She wasn't imagining this. This was real, and she was in trouble. She forced herself to breathe. Then slowly, very slowly, she unlocked the door. When she opened it, the man's eyes lifted to meet hers, dark and sharp, evaluating her from head to toe. You're braver than I expected, he said quietly. Amina couldn't speak. He stepped forward slightly, his presence filling the doorway like a shadow too big to escape. My name is Kwon Jaemin, he said, and you and I need to talk. Amina's fingers tightened around the edge of the door as if the thin wood could protect her from the man standing on the other side. He didn't look angry. He didn't look impatient. He simply looked certain. Certain of himself, certain of her, certain of everything happening at this moment. I don't understand, she whispered, swallowing hard. How do you know my name? How do you know where I live? Kwon Jaemin didn't answer immediately. His eyes traveled over her face with an unreadable expression, then flicked briefly to her trembling hands. You sent me a message, he said. Several, actually. She felt heat rush to her face, embarrassment coating her skin like a second layer. It was a mistake. I told you it was a mistake. I didn't mean anything I said. His head tilted slightly. You didn't mean it, or you regret that I saw it? Both, she blurted out. A soft sound escaped him, almost a laugh, but not quite. More like amusement wrapped in danger. One of the men behind him shifted, and Amina's breath hitched. Please, she whispered, if I offended you, I'm sorry. I didn't know who you were. I still don't know who you are. Kwon, he repeated. Jaemin. Not someone you should have texted, but also not someone who appreciates being blocked. Her lips parted. That wasn't on purpose. You panicked, he finished for her. Most people panic when they accidentally contact me. That did nothing to calm her nerves. Her grip on the door tightened. I should go get my wallet, she said shakily. If this is about money, I can... He lifted a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. If I wanted your money, he said softly, I wouldn't come to your door at dawn. Her heart hammered painfully. Then what do you want? She whispered. He stepped closer, too close. Close enough that she could see the faint scar under his jaw, the cool calculation in his eyes, the way he assessed her reactions with unnerving precision. I want the truth, he said. Who is the man you claimed you would kill? Amina choked on air. No, that wasn't real. I wasn't serious. You sounded serious. His voice sharpened, but only slightly. You listed 2 men, actually. The one who shows up uninvited, and your landlord. She pressed a hand to her forehead. It's just stress. I was venting. People vent? People vent, he agreed. But not like that, he leaned in. Not with such fire. Fire. Fire was not what she felt. She felt terror, confusion, and regret. So much regret. Kwon, Mr. Kwon, look, I don't know what you do or who you are, but I am not seeking trouble. I'm not asking for help, revenge, or anything. I just want to forget this happened. Please! His gaze didn't soften. If anything, it sharpened. I don't forget, he said simply, and you shouldn't either. What does that mean? She whispered. It means I'm coming inside. Before she could protest, he pushed the door open the rest of the way and stepped into her apartment. His men stayed outside, flanking the door like silent statues. Amina stumbled back, too stunned to speak. You can't just come in, she cried. I just did, he replied calmly, glancing around her small living room. You live alone. It wasn't a question, but she answered anyway. Yes. No family here, no roommate, no one to witness anything that happens to you. Her chest tightened so hard she nearly doubled over. Why would you say that? To see how you respond. Her legs wobbled. She grabbed the back of a chair for support. You seem easily frightened, he observed. Of course I'm frightened. A strange man showed up at my door with 2 bodyguards at 6 a.m. Fair. He looked at her again. Are you frightened of me? Yes, she snapped, breath trembling. Anyone would be. A flicker, just a flicker, of something like curiosity flashed in his eyes. Good, he murmured. Fear keeps people honest. She swallowed hard. Her pulse pounded in her ears. Everything about him radiated danger, the controlled movements, the quiet confidence, the way he seemed to dominate the room without raising his voice. He walked further in, examining the room like a man appraising a painting. Amina backed away from him until she reached the opposite wall. Why are you here? She whispered again. You messaged me, he said simply. You spoke freely. You spoke boldly. No one does that. It was an accident. And yet, he said, turning to her, your words were honest, raw. You spoke like someone who has reached her limit. Her chest tightened. So what? That doesn't give you the right to follow me or break into my home. Break in? You opened the door. I opened it because you scared me. And yet you still opened it. She blinked. You think that makes me brave? Or stupid? His lips twitched faintly. Both. She pressed a hand over her face. I can't deal with this. Please, just leave. I have work soon. I don't want trouble. You already have trouble, he replied softly. You live in a place that's unsafe. Your landlord harasses you. Your ex won't leave you alone. Your job underpays you. And last night, his gaze lowered. You fell apart. Her breath stopped. Were you watching me? No, he said, but I recognized the sound of exhaustion. She stared at him, unsure whether to scream or faint. Why do you care? She asked shakily. Quan stepped closer again, until there was barely a meter between them. Because people don't speak to me the way you did, he said, and I want to know why. It was a mistake, she whispered again. His voice dropped even lower. Then make another mistake. She flinched. What? Tell me about him, the man you feel such anger toward. Amina shook her head violently. No, I'm not telling you anything. Then I'll find out myself. Her eyes widened. No, wait. You can't just go around investigating people in my life. I can, he said simply. And I will. Panic flared through her. What do you want from me? He considered her for a long moment. Breakfast. Amina blinked. What? He sat down on her couch as though he had been invited. I've been awake all night. If you want me to leave peacefully, make me breakfast. She stared at him, mouth hanging open. You can't be serious. I am. She looked at him. He looked back, unblinking. This is ridiculous, she muttered. And yet, here we are, he replied. Her shoulders sagged in defeat. She shuffled to the kitchen, muttering prayers under her breath. As she cracked eggs into a pan, her phone buzzed with a new notification from her YouTube channel app. Amina exhaled shakily, glancing at the camera icon on her phone screen. If I survive this, she whispered to herself, I'm telling this story on my channel. They better subscribe. She glanced over her shoulder at Quan, who sat calmly, watching her with unreadable eyes. Amina tried to steady her breathing as she stirred the eggs. Her hands trembled so badly the spatula clattered against the pan. She prayed the loud clang didn't reveal how terrified she was. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. She wanted to throw the pan out the window and pretend none of this was real. But Quan sat in her living room like he owned the building, elbows on his knees, watching her every move. She could feel his gaze drilling into her back. I don't cook for strangers, she said softly, forcing the words out. This is the first and last time. Good, he replied. I don't enjoy being cooked for by strangers. She paused. So what does that make me? We're becoming acquaintances, Frying oil hissed loudly, masking the small, distressed sound that escaped her throat. Acquaintances don't show up at each other's houses at dawn with bodyguards. Then think of me as something else. She hesitated. Something like what? Something you shouldn't provoke. Her hand froze on the stove. The air thickened, heavy and suffocating. She forced herself to breathe again and resumed cooking. In 5 minutes, she placed a simple plate of eggs and toast on the small table in front of him. Quan picked up the fork with deliberate calm, took a bite, and then nodded once. This is good. Glad you approve, she muttered, rolling her eyes before she realized who she was rolling them at. Her heart stuttered. She snapped her gaze away, waiting for the men outside to storm in and drag her to the afterlife. But instead of reacting with irritation or anger, Quan's lips curved, just barely. You have spirit, he said. She threw her hands up in disbelief. I'm not trying to have spirit. I'm trying to stay alive. That too. He continued eating while she hovered near the wall like a trapped bird. When he finished, he set the fork down neatly and leaned back on the couch. Sit! The command hit her like a slap. I prefer to stand. I prefer that you sit. Her stomach sank. She approached cautiously and sat at the very edge of the chair farthest from him. He watched her with quiet amusement. Amina. She stiffened. What? You're safe. She huffed. Says the man who broke into my morning like an action movie villain. I'm not a villain. You're not a hero either. He chuckled, an actual chuckle, and the sound vibrated through her like a warning bell and a warm breeze at the same time. He folded his hands. Tell me about your ex. She jerked back. No. Tell me about your landlord. No. You told me you were done with both of them. That was me venting, normal human venting. Normal people vent to friends, he said, not to me. She rubbed her face with both hands. I didn't know who you were. He leaned forward. You know now. Silence descended. Thick, heavy, charged. Amina swallowed the knot building in her throat. Look, I know you have power. I can feel it. I don't want trouble with you or anyone around you. If I offended you, You didn't offend me. His voice cut clean through her rambling. You interested me. She blinked. Interested how? He studied her, eyes slow and symbolic as they moved. You speak without fear, he said, but your eyes show fear. It's contradictory. That's because I don't know whether you're here to protect me, kill me, or adopt me. A quiet, startled laugh broke from him. For the first time, he seemed genuinely thrown off. Then he leaned back, shaking his head once. You're unique, he murmured. She crossed her arms. Okay, and what are you? A problem solver. Well, I don't need solving. That's not what I said. She stared at him. He stared back, unwavering. A minute passed. Maybe 2. The tension tightened until even the air felt shaky. Finally, he spoke. You should get ready for work. She blinked rapidly. You're leaving? For now. 2 words, and yet they felt like a promise and a threat. Amina stood up carefully, afraid to move too quickly. Okay. Well, thank you for, not killing me. He rose too, adjusting the cuffs of his suit jacket with elegant precision. Killing you was never an option. That didn't seem obvious. He approached her, stopping far too close. She pressed her back against the wall, breath shallow. He lifted a hand, slowly, and brushed a stray curl from her forehead. I don't touch what I plan to destroy. Her lungs tripped. Then he stepped back, heading toward the door. His bodyguards straightened instantly. Before he left, he turned his head slightly. Amina. Yes, she whispered. He spoke without looking at her. This isn't finished. The door closed, and the apartment suddenly felt too quiet, too empty, too normal, like reality wasn't sure which version of itself it belonged to. Amina slid down the wall, burying her face in her hands. What the hell just happened? She stayed there for a full minute, forcing air back into her lungs. Then she scrambled to her feet, sprinting to the window. She peeked out just in time to see Quan stepping into a sleek black car that looked more expensive than her yearly salary. The door shut, The car pulled away. Amina exhaled shakily. Well, she sighed, pressing her forehead to the window. At least that's over. It wasn't. The trouble started before noon. She walked into her workplace, an uptown cafe still rattled but trying to appear normal. Her manager, Minji, stormed toward her before she could clock in. Amina, my office, now. Oh, great, she thought. Perfect timing. She followed her manager inside, bracing herself for another scolding about customer tone or speed. Instead, Minji closed the door gently and turned to her with a nervous smile. You're being promoted. Amina's jaw dropped. What? To shift supervisor, effective immediately. But, Minji, I don't even... Last week you said... I know what I said, Minji cut in quickly. But the higher management reviewed your performance. They were very impressed. Very impressed. Amina squinted. Higher management? They've never even spoken to me. Minji laughed awkwardly. Well, they changed their minds. Anyway, congrats. Something was off. Something was running laps around off. Amina stepped out of the office, her mind whirling. Promotion out of nowhere. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. You're welcome. Her heart nearly stopped. This wasn't happening. She hurried to the back hallway and typed furiously. What did you do? He responded within seconds. I solved problems. You had several. Her throat closed. She typed again. Stop interfering in my life. Another immediate reply. No. A wave of dread rolled through her, then another message. Be ready at 7 p.m. I'm coming to collect my favor soon, but tonight we talk. Amina stared at the screen, horrified. Well, she whispered, sliding down the wall. I'm officially going to die. If you're enjoying this emotional roller coaster, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, because Amina clearly needs emotional support, and you don't want to miss what happens next. Amina didn't remember walking home. She didn't remember getting off the bus or unlocking her apartment door. All she remembered was the rising panic swirling inside her like a hurricane. By the time she stumbled into her living room, she collapsed onto the couch and buried her face in a pillow. 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Why me? What does he want? Why is my life a Netflix special without my permission? She rolled off the couch dramatically, landing on the floor with a thud. Maybe if she lay there long enough, the earth would swallow her whole, and she wouldn't have to deal with whatever the Mafia version of a talk meant. Her phone buzzed. She screamed into the pillow. She didn't want to look. She had to look. She picked up the phone with trembling hands. 6:02 p.m. Kwan. Wear something comfortable. Amina almost threw the phone across the room. What do you mean something comfortable? Comfortable for what? Kidnapping, jogging, mafia yoga? She typed aggressively. Comfortable for what? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then reappeared. She wanted to faint. Finally, just be ready. I'm almost there. She dropped the phone. Oh God, he's on his way. She scrambled to her feet and sprinted around her apartment, grabbing random outfits like a tornado with bad fashion sense. Nothing felt right. Nothing felt safe. Nothing felt like something one should wear when meeting a criminal who had taken interest in them. Finally, she settled on jeans, a loose black hoodie, and sneakers because if she needed to run, she needed traction. A knock echoed through the apartment, not loud this time, not forceful, just a single calm knock. She froze. Completely. Then another soft knock. She dragged herself to the door, feeling like she was walking toward her own doom. She opened the door just enough to peek out. Kwan stood there relaxed, hands in his pockets. No bodyguards this time, no intimidation, just him. You look comfortable, he said. I'm not, she shot back immediately. I know. He stepped aside slightly. Come. Come where? You are full of questions. Because you're full of mysteries, he raised an eyebrow. Would you prefer surprises? No, she said loudly. Then come, he repeated, turning to walk down the hallway. Against every instinct, Amina followed. Outside, a sleek black car waited at the curb. Not the same one as earlier. This one was even nicer. A driver stood by the door and opened it for her. I can't afford even the door handle of this car, she muttered under her breath as she climbed inside. Kwan took the seat beside her, his presence instantly filling the small space. As the car pulled away, she fidgeted endlessly. Finally, she spoke. Where are we going? Somewhere safe. That doesn't reassure me. He glanced at her. You talk too much when you're nervous. That's because you... She stopped herself. Forget it. He didn't press. Instead, he watched her quietly, studying her reactions like she was a piece of art he couldn't decipher. After several minutes, the car slowed and turned into an underground parking garage. Amina's heart raced faster. Quan, if you're planning to kill me, can you at least warn me? I want to pray first. I'm not killing you. Promise? Yes. You don't sound convincing. He opened the door and stepped out. Come. The garage was immaculate, guarded, private. Quan led her to a private elevator. Amina hesitated before stepping inside. He glanced at her. If I wanted to hurt you, you wouldn't be standing right now. That's fair, she admitted reluctantly. The elevator rose for a long time, far longer than she expected. When the doors opened, Amina's breath left her body. They were in a rooftop garden, a beautiful one. Soft lights, cherry blossoms, a crystal-clear view of the Seoul skyline glowing like a sea of stars. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't cold. It was breathtaking. Amina turned slowly, stunned. What is this place? My private rooftop, Quan said. No one comes here except me. And now me? Yes. Why? Because you're interesting. She pressed a hand to her forehead. You keep saying that, like it explains anything. He motioned for her to walk with him. She followed reluctantly, staring at the city lights like they might offer answers. For a while, neither spoke. The night breeze was cool and gentle, brushing against her skin. Finally, he stopped near a bench. Amina, he said quietly, your message wasn't just a mistake, it was a cry for help. It wasn't, it was. His voice cut through her denial with calm certainty. You don't trust easily. You hide your anger, you hide your exhaustion. But last night you stopped hiding. Her chest tightened painfully. I don't need help, she whispered. You do. I don't want help from you. He turned to face her fully, eyes sharp. Then tell me no. I what? Tell me you don't want my help, he repeated. Truthfully. Not out of fear, not out of confusion. Truthfully, Amina. Say the words. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. He waited. She exhaled, voice small. I don't know. A slow breath escaped him. He stepped closer, but not too close, just enough that she could feel the weight of his attention. Then let me help. She didn't respond. He continued, voice low. Your landlord is harassing you. Your ex is manipulating you. Your boss mistreats you. You're alone in a foreign country. You are drowning, Amina. Let me pull you out. She shook her head. You're dangerous. Yes, he said simply, but I am not dangerous to you. Her heartbeat stuttered painfully. She looked away, unable to hold his gaze. What do you want in return? He didn't answer at first. She forced herself to look at him and wished she hadn't. His expression was unreadable but intense, heavy enough to make her throat tighten. Just one thing, he said. Her voice trembled. What thing? He stepped closer, slow, deliberate, predatory only in certainty, not intention. His eyes never left hers. A promise, Amina's voice cracked. A promise of what? That you won't disappear, he said softly. That if I help you, you'll stay where I can find you. A shiver traveled down her spine. Why would you want that? His jaw tightened. His voice dropped to a whisper. Because the moment you texted me, my life changed. Silence. Dangerous silence. Emotional silence. Amina's breath faltered. She looked away, blinking rapidly, unsure whether she should run or stay or cry or yell. Quan, she whispered. Before she could finish, her phone buzzed. She flinched and fumbled for it. New message from her landlord. Amina stared in disbelief. I apologize for disturbing you. Your rent is reduced starting next month. Please let me know if you need anything. Thank you. Her heart stopped. Quan's gaze remained on her, watching her read the message. Her hands shook violently. What did you do? She whispered. I kept my promise. He said simply. I solve problems. Tears pricked her eyes. Fear, relief, shock, confusion, all of it tangled into a knot so tight she couldn't untangle it. Quan, this is too much. I don't know how How to handle this. I don't know what you want from me." He stepped closer again, and this time he gently lifted her chin so she would meet his gaze. "I told you," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "I want your promise, and in return, you get my protection." She exhaled shakily. "This feels like a trap." "It isn't." "Then why does it feel like I'm standing on the edge of something dangerous?" "Because you are." She swallowed hard. "And if I say no?" He lowered his hand slowly, expression unreadable. "Then I walk away, and your problems return the moment I do." Her throat tightened. "That's not fair." "Life isn't fair," he said softly. "But I am giving you a choice. One that no one else has ever given you." Her breath quivered. He extended his hand. "Amina, choose." She stared at his hand, at his eyes, at the city lights behind him, at the life that was falling apart, at the life he was offering. Fear and warmth and warning and comfort swirled together until her vision blurred. Amina slowly, very slowly, lifted her hand. "Kwan," she whispered, voice trembling. "If I give you my promise, what happens next?" He didn't smile, he didn't blink, he simply said, "You'll find out soon. Very soon." Her fingers touched his, and the moment they did, everything inside her shifted. She didn't know it yet, but her life would never, ever be the same again. Amina didn't sleep that night. She lay in her bed staring at the ceiling, replaying Kwan's words over and over again. A promise, protection, change. A life she never asked for, tied to a man she barely knew, yet felt dangerously drawn to. She didn't understand him. She didn't understand her own reaction to him. All she knew was that nothing in her life had prepared her for someone like Kwon Jae-min. By sunrise, she still hadn't made a decision. But fate, as always, didn't wait for her. Her doorbell rang at 7:12 a.m. Amina scrambled out of bed, threw on a robe, and tiptoed to the door. When she opened it, Kwon stood there. But this time, he wasn't alone. An elderly Korean woman, graceful and sharp-eyed, stood beside him. They both bowed slightly. "Amina," Kwon said, "may we come in?" She hesitated, then stepped aside. The woman entered first, glancing around the apartment with a gentle but assessing gaze. Kwon followed. Amina crossed her arms. "Okay, what's going on?" "This is my grandmother," Kwon said. "Her name is Jung Hae-sun." Amina blinked. "His grandmother?" The woman smiled warmly. "I've heard much about you, child." Amina's stomach sank. "All bad, I assume." "On the contrary." The grandmother stepped closer, eyes full of quiet wisdom. "My grandson does not bring strangers into his life, certainly not into his private rooftop, and he has not asked anyone for a promise in a very long time." Amina felt something shift inside her chest. She turned to Kwon. Why bring her here?" "Because she knows everything," he said softly, "and you deserve the truth." Amina's heart thudded. Finally she would understand what all of this meant. Kwon sat on the edge of her couch. His grandmother sat beside him, folding her hands neatly. Amina remained standing, too nervous to sit. "Kwon," she whispered, "tell me what's really happening." He took a slow breath. "Amina, my interest in you didn't begin the moment you texted me." She stiffened. "What?" He met her eyes, steady, calm, honest. "I saw you 2 weeks before that." Amina froze. "Saw me where?" "At the cafe where you work." Her breath caught. "You were dealing with a difficult customer. A foreigner yelling at you for a mistake you didn't make. You apologized. He didn't stop. Instead of breaking down, you stood straighter. You didn't insult him. You didn't raise your voice. You didn't cry. You simply defended yourself with dignity." Amina's lips parted, surprised. "I admired that," he continued. "Most people crumble under pressure, but you didn't. You held your ground." His jaw tightened slightly. "Then your manager berated you afterward. You bowed, apologized again, and went right back to work." Amina slowly sank onto a nearby chair, overwhelmed. "You watched me," she whispered. "I did. I told myself it was a curiosity." His voice dropped. It wasn't. His grandmother nodded. He spoke of you repeatedly. Your courage, your composure, your strength. Amina pressed a hand to her chest. But that can't be the whole reason you want to protect me. It isn't. Kwan's expression hardened. You're being targeted. Amina's blood ran cold. Targeted? By who? Kwan's voice lowered. Your ex. She shot to her feet. Daniel. He's annoying, but he wouldn't. He would, Kwan interrupted. And he did. The room tilted slightly. Amina grabbed the arm of the chair. Kwan continued. The night you texted me, I traced the number and ran a basic background check. Anyone who contacts me gets one. What I found alarmed me. Her breath quivered. What did you find? Your ex-worker, Daniel, has been reporting your location to a small criminal group in Itaewon. They call themselves a business network, but they're involved in scams and trafficking. He owes them money. Amina's hand flew to her mouth. No, that doesn't make sense. He used your old shared photos as proof he could deliver you, Kwan said darkly. He told them you were alone, foreign, and easy to manipulate. He offered you as collateral to wipe his debt. Amina's knees gave out. She collapsed onto the floor, shaking violently. Kwan moved instantly, kneeling beside her but not touching her. Amina, breathe. Stay with me. She pressed her palms against her eyes as tears streamed down. Her chest tightened painfully. He tried to sell me? Yes, Kwan said quietly. His grandmother placed a gentle hand on Amina's back. Child, you did nothing to deserve this. Evil people make evil choices. You survived because you were strong enough to leave him. Amina sobbed into her hands, her entire body trembling. I didn't tell you this earlier, Kwan continued, because I didn't want to overwhelm you. But you needed to know the truth. You weren't paranoid. You weren't dramatic. You were in danger. She slowly lowered her hands, eyes red and swollen. So, that's why you want to protect me? It is one reason, he said. Then he lowered his gaze. The other reason is, I care for you. Amina froze. I tried to stay away, Kwan said softly. But when your message came, when I saw your anger, your exhaustion, your fear, I couldn't ignore you anymore, not when I had the power to shield you from everything trying to break you. But you don't even know me, she whispered, tears slipping down again. He finally reached out and took her hand gently. I know enough, and I want to know more. If you'll let me. Amina stared at their joined hands, breath trembling. For the first time, she didn't feel fear touching him. She felt something else. Warmth, safety, certainty. His grandmother spoke softly. He is not an easy man, Amina, but he is a loyal one. When he chooses someone, he protects them with his life. Kwan squeezed her hand lightly. You don't have to accept anything. You don't have to give me your promise. You don't have to be with me. I only want your yes, if it's real. Amina wiped her tears on her sleeve. I'm scared, she murmured. I know, Kwan whispered. And confused. I know. And overwhelmed. I know, he repeated gently. But I won't rush you. Just tell me what you feel. Amina lifted her gaze to his. For the first time, she saw vulnerability behind the power. He wasn't demanding her. He wasn't trapping her. He was offering himself, something she never expected from a man like him. She took a shaky breath. Kwan, I don't want to be afraid anymore. His eyes softened. And I don't want to face life alone anymore, she continued. I want someone who sees me. Someone who protects me but doesn't cage me. Someone who respects me. And do you believe I can be that? He asked gently. She nodded slowly. Yes, I do. He exhaled, almost relieved. And do you want me? He asked quietly. She hesitated, not because she was unsure, but because the truth scared her more than anything. Finally, she whispered, Yes, I want you. Kwan pulled her into his arms, not forcefully, not possessively, but tenderly, carefully, as if she were something precious. Amina buried her face into his shoulder, her tears soaking into his shirt. His arms wrapped around her with warmth she didn't know he possessed. His grandmother smiled softly, eyes glistening with pride. Amina pulled back enough to meet his gaze. But what about those men? The group Daniel owes money to? Will they come for me? They won't, Quan said firmly. They were dealt with last night. She blinked. Dealt with how? Legally, he said simply. Reported, arrested, handled. Amina exhaled shakily. And Daniel, she whispered. Gone, Quan said. Not dead, but gone. He won't come near you again, ever. For the first time since arriving in Korea, Amina felt safe, truly safe. She placed her hand against his cheek gently. Thank you. He leaned into her touch. Thank you for trusting me. His grandmother stood and straightened her coat. I will leave you two alone now. Amina, welcome to the family, if you choose to stay. Amina smiled weakly. Thank you, ma'am. When the elevator doors closed behind the grandmother, Amina turned back to Quan. So, she whispered, what happens now? He offered his hand the same way he had done on the rooftop. Now, he said softly, we start a new life, together, without fear. Amina took his hand without hesitation this time, and for the first time since arriving in Korea, she felt hope. Bright, strong, unshakable. Quan pulled her into another, pulled her. Embrace, resting his forehead against hers. You're safe now, he whispered, and you will never face anything alone again. Amina closed her eyes, letting the warmth of his words sink into her bones. She believed him. Whew. We just survived that together. If you loved, or barely survived, this emotional roller coaster, don't forget to like, comment your favorite part, and subscribe so you never miss the next wild ride. Oh, and tag a friend who needs this kind of chaos in their life. Trust me, they'll thank you later. See you in the next story.